Hello and welcome. So, in the previous class we have learned about branching, and today we are going to learn about another concept which is known as loops in Python. So, the purpose of looping is to execute a statement or a list of statement repeatedly until a specific condition is met. That means, suppose you want to print your name 5 times. So, you have got one option, that is to write the print statement 5 times, but suppose you have to print your name 100 times. So, will it be feasible for you to write the print statement 100 times? The answer is obviously no. In such cases we use loops. So, this is also referred to as iterative statement. So, 2 iterative statements are supported by Python program. Number 1 is while or the while loop, and the number 2 is for or the for loop. So, let us begin with the while loop first. So, while loop allows a statement or the list of statement to be executed depending upon a particular condition which may be true or false. So, if the condition is true, the while loop is going to be executed, otherwise it is going to be exited. So, you can see in this flow chart how the while statement work. So, there is a statement A and then there is a condition. If the condition is true, then a particular statement block is going to be executed and the expression for the condition is going to be changed. And if the condition is false, then another statement block is going to be executed. So, this is the flow chart showing the working of the while loop. So, you can see here the most important thing is the condition. So, you have to remember that when we use a loop, there is a starting point, there is an ending point, and in between there are steps. That means, from where the loop will begin, where the loop will end, and what are the steps that will be taken from the starting point to the end point. Say for example, my starting point is 1, my ending point is 10. That means, my loop is going to run from 1 to 10 and the step is 1. So, the loop is going to be executed like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, once it reaches 10, the condition will become false and I will exit the loop. Now, suppose the step is 2. So, I am going to start with 1 and I am going to jump 2 steps. So, next will be 3. Then again next will be 5. So, this is how the steps affect the execution of the loop. So, let us understand while loop using the Python codes. As you can see here, this is the initialization or the first step, that means from where the loop will begin. Then the while statement is given and then within the bracket we are checking whether I is less than equal to 5. That means, this is 5 is the end. That means, this loop is going to start from 1 and it is going to go till 5, and here you can see I am writing I is equal to I plus 1. This is step. That means, this program is going to be executed. This means, this program is going to start from 1 and it will go to 2, 3, 4, 5. That means, it will jump one step. So, in the beginning y I is equal to 1, and this is the while condition or the while loop, where our condition is checked that I is less than equal to 5 or not. So, since our I is initially 1, so I is less than equal to 5 is true. So, it is going to print a name, and then it is going to increment the value of I is equal to I plus 1. So, now I will be 2. So, I will be inside the loop, 2 is less than equal to 5 true, again this will be printed, again I will be 3. So, 3 is less than 5 true, this is going to be printed, I is going to be incremented to 4, 4 is less than equal to 5 true, this is going to be printed, again I is going to be incremented 5, 5 is less than or equal to. So, or, since it is or, so this will be true, again it will be printed, and now I will become 6. So, once I become 6, this statement becomes false, and the control is, it will come out from the loop. Let us execute it and see. So, once I execute it, you can see the name is printed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So, if I want to print it for 100 times, I just have to change this end condition to 100. So, if I execute now, the name will be printed, as you can see here, the name is printed 100 times. So, I do not have to write 100 print statement, but I can keep that print statement inside a loop, and I can print it for as many times as I want. So, while using a loop, you have to first determine from where the loop will start, then you have to determine where the loop is going to end, and then you have to determine the steps. So, this is a very simple while program, where I am printing the names for as many times as I want using the while loop. Let us see another example. Here the problem is to find the sum of the first 10 numbers. That means, I want to find the sum of 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10. Now, as you can see that this is a particular sequence starting from 1 ending at 10. So, when I use my while loop, I will say I equal to 1, and I am again taking an identifier sum, and I am initializing the sum to be 0. Then I am using the while loop, and my condition is now while I is less than equal to 10. So, I will start from 1, and it will run till I is less than or equal to 10, and within the loop what I am doing is sum is equal to sum plus I. This statement is very important. So, initially when the value of I is 1 and initially sum is equal to 0. So, here what will happen? Here your sum is equal to initial value of sum is 0 plus initial value of I is 1. So, 0 plus 1, which is equal to 1. So, sum is going to be 1, and I, as you can see here, I is equal to I plus 1. So, I is going to be incremented to 2. So, again 2 is less than equal to 10, this condition is true. It will again come here sum equal to sum plus I. Now, the initial value of the second value of I after the previous calculation, it was 1, sum is equal to 1, and now I is equal to 2. So, sum is equal to sum plus I, that means 1 plus 2, which is equal to 3. So, now sum is equal to 3 and I equal to I plus 1, that means 2 plus 1, I will become 3. 3 is less than equal to 10, again this statement is true, again we will come to sum is equal to sum plus I. So, sum is 3, I is 3, so 3 plus 3, 6, and I equal to I plus 1. So, this I will become 4. So, as you can see, as I am moving from 1 to 10, in the sum all the numbers have been getting added up. So, let us execute this code, and you can see the sum of first 10 number is 55. So, that means 1 plus 2 plus 3 up to 10 is 55. In this program, it is very important to understand that we are initializing sum to be 0, because we are adding sum inside the loop. So, if I do not initialize it to be 0, it may take up any random values which will not give you the appropriate answer. So, you have to remember, in such cases you have to always initialize the identifier. Let us see another program. This is again a program using a while loop, and in this program what we are trying to do is to find the sum of the digits. That means, if an integer is given, say 321, so we want to find 3 plus 2 plus 1, which is equal to 6. So, sum of the digits. So, again in this program we are initializing sum is equal to 0, and we are inputting a number for which we will find the sum of the digits. Again, while that number is not equal to 0. So, this is our test condition with the while loop. This is our test condition while the number is not equal to 0. So, this is the logic here. What we are doing here, we are saying temp is equal to num mod 10. So, suppose number is 321 and we are performing temp equal to num mod 10. That means 321 mod 10. So, it is going to give us the remainder, and the remainder will be 1. So, again here sum is equal to sum plus int temp. So, sum is equal to 0, 0 plus 1, 1, and again num is equal to num by 10. That means 321 by 10. So, since it will return an integer value, so we are going to get 32. Again 32 is not equal to 0, temp equal to num mod 10, that is 32 mod 10. So, we are going to get 2 here, and sum is equal to sum plus int temp. So, 1 plus 2 now, and this will become 32 by 10. So, we will be left with 3. Again temp is equal to num mod 10, 3 mod 10 will return 3 only. Sum is equal to 3, and num is equal to num mod 10, 3 by 10. So, this will become 0, and we will exit the loop, and we are going to print the sum. So, sum is 3 plus 2 plus 1, 6. So, this is the logic of the program to find the sum of the digits. So, as you can see here, we are using a while loop, and within the while loop we are checking the condition till num is not equal to 0. So, let us execute this program. So, it is going to ask a number. So, let us input a number. So, you can see we get the sum of the digit 5 plus 4 is 9 plus 2 is 11. So, we get the output as 11. Now, let us see this another program, a very simple while loop, where we are going to increase the step from 1 to 2. So, in this code we are again initializing I equal to 1. Our test condition is while I is less than equal to 10, and we are printing I. But now our steps are I equal to I plus 2. That means, now we are moving 2 steps. So, when I execute this code, you can see, so first the value of I is 1, so 1 is printed, then I is moving 2 steps. So, next is 3, So, 3 is getting printed. So, after that 5, 7, 9. So, you can see all the odd numbers are being getting printed. So, this is the role of the step. So, while using a while loop, you now must have understood that 3 things are important. Number 1 is the starting point, number 2 is the end point, and the third point is the step. Now, let us understand the for loop. Similar to the while loop, we can use a for loop, and the purpose of the for loop is similar to what we have seen in the while loop, that is to repeat a task until a predefined condition becomes true. So, this is the flow chart. As you can see, here assign the end value or the range of sequence, and then we are checking whether the loop control variable has reached the end or not. If it has reached the end, then we go to statement block B, else we repeat a particular statement. So, when we use a for loop, we use a function in Python which is known as a range function. So, this range is a inbuilt function in Python, and it returns a sequence of number which by default start from 0, increments by 1 and stops at a given value. So, this is the syntax for the range function. So, you can see here there is a start, there is a stop and there is a step, where start is optional and by default it starts from 0, stop is required as any integer value where you want the loop to stop, and step is again optional, which is by default is 1. So, you can see here in this particular example, in the first box x is equal to range 1, 10, 2. So, now you know that 1 is the starting point, 10 is the ending point and 2 is the step. See this particular example where x is equal to range 2, 10. Now, in this case starting point is given, the stop point or the end point is given, but there are no step. So, we know that by default the step is 1. So, if nothing is given, by default the step will become 1. Now, let us see some examples using the Python code. So, let us take this first example. So, this is how a for loop is given. For I is your identifier in range. So, this is the range function that I was talking about. For I in range within the bracket 1, 10, 2. So, 1 is the start point, 10 is the stop point, 2 is the step and then colon. After that I am printing I and I am saying end equal to. So, this particular line is written to write the values in a single line. Let us see the output. As you can see here, the output is given in a single line because of this particular statement end equal to double quotes with space. Otherwise, your output are going to be printed like this. So, if you want to print your output in a single line, you can use this particular end statement. So, in this particular code, I am printing the value of I, which is starting from 1. So, as you can see in the output, the first value is 1, then it is incrementing by 2. So, next value is 3, 5, 7, 9. So, once it reaches 9 and step is 2, it becomes 11. So, it crosses my stop condition or the end point, which is 10. So, the program exits. So, it is printing the values from 1 to 9. So, as you can see here, this is similar to the while loop, except for the reason that all the conditions are given with the help of range. Whereas, in the while loop we have seen that first we have to give the starting point, then with the while we have to give the test condition or the stop point, and within the while loop we have to give the steps. So, this is quite simpler than the while loop, as you can give all the statements in a single line. Let us see another example. So, here in this particular example again I am using a for loop. So, for I in range 10 and nothing is given. So, as I have told you that if nothing is given, by default the starting point is 0 and the step is 1. So, let us execute this code. So, you can see here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 till 9 it is printed 1 by 1. So, you can see here 10 values are printed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 values are printed. Once the 10 values are printed, since our range is 10, so the loop is going to exit. So, do not get confused that if the range is given to be 10, it is going to print up to 10. No, because there is no initial condition. So, it is beginning from 0 and beginning from 0 it is printing 10 values. So, that is the purpose of range. Let us see another example. Here we are going to print a multiplication table. So, let us take an identifier and take an input of any number for which we are going to print the multiplication table. So, for I in range 1, 11. Now, why we have used 1, 11? Because we know that we are going to start from 1 and we are going to reach 10. We are going to reach 10. So, 10 values we need. So, that is why 1 to 11, and we are saying print I into num, I into num. So, I is going to start from 1, no steps are given. So, by default the step is 1. So, 1 by 1, 1 is going to start and move from 1 to 10, and whatever number is given, with that it is going to be multiplied. So, let us execute this code. So, it is asking for a number, let us give an input say 3. So, you can see here the table of 3 is being printed. So, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 up to 3, 0, 30. Now, if we want it exactly in the form of a multiplication table, then we will have to change the print statement a little bit. Like we can say, so as you can see here, now our table is exactly that like the one we wanted. So, 3 into 1. So, what I have done here, I have printed num, num is the number which is being inputted, then comma cross or x within the double quotes. So, the cross is printed as it is, comma I is the for loop that is going from 1 to 10. So, I is printed as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 10. Then again equal to within double quotes. So, you can see equal to is being printed and then I into num. So, I cross num. So, this was I, 3 was I and 1 is the 3 was the number and I is the num. So, 3 cross I is equal to 3. So, 3 into 1, 3 into 2, 3 into 3. So, this is exactly the format that we wanted. So, you can change the format with the help of the print statement. So, this is how you can print a multiplication table. Let us see another example where we are going to find out the factorial of a given number. As you know, the factorial, say for example, if you want to find the factorial of 3, it is 3 into 2 into 1. If you want to find the factorial of 4, it is 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So, this is the program to find out the factorial of a given number. So, in the beginning we are taking the number as an input, and we know that 0 factorial is equal to 1. So, if num is equal to 0, f is equal to 1 and the program will exit. Otherwise, we initialize f to 1, we initialize the identifier f is equal to 1 and then we start our for loop. So, here you can see for I in range 1 comma num plus 1, 1 comma num plus 1, as you have seen. So, 4 factorial will be 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So, if I give just num, so it will go till 3 only. If I give 4 factorial, it will go up to 3 only. So, that is why we have given num plus 1, and within the loop we are what we are doing, f is equal to f into I. That means, when I will be 1, f will be 1 into 1 1, when I will be 2, f will be 1 into 2. So, 2, when I is 3, f will be 2 into 3, 6, when I equal to 4, f will be 6 into 4, 24. So, let us execute this code and see. So, it is asking for a number. So, I give 4 and you can see the factorial of 4 is 24. So, this particular statement here, f is equal to f into I, it is calculating the factorial as the loop increments from the initial state to the final state. Let us say this another example where we are going to find out sum of a particular series. So, here we are going to find the sum of the series 1 by 2 plus 2 by 3 plus so on up to n upon n plus 1. So, if such programs are given, you have to first develop the logic for that particular program. So, what we are doing, suppose first take the range, because this sum of series can go up to n. So, we will take a particular range till where we are going to find the sum of the series. So, we are putting that range in an identifier num, then we are saying sum is equal to 0.0. So, we are initializing the value of sum. Again we are using the for loop for I in range 1 comma num plus 1. So, why num plus 1 we have already seen in the factorial program. Then x is equal to float I divided by I plus 1. So, because our loop is like 1 by 2, then 2 by 3. That means, the numerator is going like 1, 2, 3, 4 up to n, whereas denominator is going like n plus 1, 2 plus 1, next will be 3 plus 1 and so on. So, denominator is going n plus 1. So, therefore, we are taking identifier x and we are saying x is equal to float I divided by I plus 1. So, when I is 1, x equal to I divided by 2, that means 1 divided by 1 plus 1 2. So, 1 by 2. When I is 2, then x is equal to 2 upon 2 plus 1 2 by 3. So, this logic is in line with the series that we are going to find out. Then sum is equal to sum plus x, whatever x is being calculated, it is put inside the sum and we are doing the summation over here, and at last we are printing the value of the sum. So, this is how you can calculate the sum of any given series. The most important thing is to apply the logic of that particular series. So, let us execute this program. So, it is asking for a range. So, let us give a range 4. So, you can see the sum of the series is being outputted for a range 4. So, in today's class, we have learned about two iterative statements supported by Python, that is the while loop and the for loop. Thank you.